Hey guys, this is Matty Fresh from megapoker.net. This is the Learn to Play Poker series, and today we're going to be talking about slow playing. So first we're going to take a look at slow playing a pocket pair in which you flop a set. We're going to limp in here and see if we can trap somebody. Now usually I don't advise calling a huge raise with a low pocket pair, but if it's somewhere between 2 and 3.5 times the big blind, I'd advise getting in there, because if you flop your set, the implied odds are very huge. Now this is a fairly favorable situation. I would describe this as a neutral slow playing situation. You could slow play or you could not. The reasons behind not slow playing at this point would be because the straight draw on the board, 7-8 has you beat, 3-7 has you beat. Since the blinds got to limp in, these hands are possible. So at this point I would throw in a re-raise and see where you're at. And obviously your fives were good at that point, but you didn't want anyone drawing out with a straight. So re-raising at that point was the proper play. We'll take another look at pocket fives. We're going to limp in there. Now you flopped quads. Obviously you're going to slow play in this situation. Just keep calling and we'll keep going. You have the nuts. You cannot lose at this point. Now you're hoping someone has a flush. Everyone checks it to you. You want to see if you can get something out of the pot. The pot's at $35 right now, so I would bet somewhere around a third of the pot as a value bet. So let's throw in a $12 bet and see if we can get it called and get some extra money out of the pot. Obviously not. You collect a nice pot, and we'll move on. Let's take another look. Let's see if we can get an unfavorable slow play situation. I'm going to call the raise here. I flopped a set. This is a very good situation. There's remote straight possibilities, but at this point we're just going to call and try to trap jackpot on further streets. Now at this point there's almost a straight on the board, and 8 has a straight, and you're going to check right here to see if he has it by throwing in a raise. Now at this point we're going to see if it's good. You're just going to check and hope that your fives are good, and it turns out that your set is good. Now we're going to move on to flopping a straight and other hands in which you can slow play. So I'm going to call again, and hopefully we'll flop a straight and be able to execute a slow play. Now this is the exact situation you're looking for. You flopped a straight with a flush draw, so you're simply going to check and hope that someone bets into it. At this point, jackpot bets 12. You're going to call. Now the problem with this is now anyone holding a king has a higher straight and you're beat. So at this point, you're going to want to speed up a little bit. So I would bet half the pot. And at this point, you should be feeling fairly confident in your hand. Again, it wasn't a raised pot. A king is likely, but maybe not. Maybe he just has a pair. Maybe he has the same straight. So I'd just throw in another bet and see where you're at. And you show your straight, and it's good. So now we're going to move on to flopping the nut flush. Alright, now we're going to move on to slow playing the nut flush. This is a beautiful situation in poker, and we're going to try to extract as much money out of this pot as we possibly can. So at this point you flop the nut flush. There's a straight flush draw on the board in which you're going to go ahead and check and see if someone can bet at it. Strong bad throws in a bet. You're just going to simply call here. Both players call. Razor throws in a pretty big bet. You want to try to extract a little bit more out of this pot, so I'm going to throw in a raise and see if he'll call it. He makes the call. I show the nut flush and collect a very nice pot. Now we're going to move into situations that it may look like you should slow play, but it actually is a bad idea, and we'll show examples of slow playing going wrong as well. Now we're going to look at a situation when slow playing is not the proper play, and if you do decide to try a slow play in this situation, I will demonstrate what happens. So you're gonna go ahead and defend your pocket sevens here. You flop a set, but the problem is there's a flush draw and a straight draw on the board. When this happens, when you flop a set with these kind of draws on the board, slow play is not the optimal play, and you'll often find your set getting cracked, and it'll probably end up busting you out of the tournament. So at this point, your opponent strong bad is bet. You're going to throw in a re-raise of 3 times. He raised 30. You're going to raise it up to 90 and see if you can protect your hand. Now, strong bad re-raised you again. At this point, you're not sure if your hand's good. If you're very confident that he flopped the straight, you simply let it go. But for the purpose of the demonstration, I want to really stress that slow playing in this situation is not optimal, so we're going to speed it up, and I'm going to throw in an even bigger re-raise, and we're going to shut it down before he gets his straight card on later streets, if that was what was going to happen. So now we're going to look at a situation where you actually do decide to slow play in this situation, and it goes horribly wrong. Okay, moving on. This is going to be an example of slow play going horribly wrong because you decided to attempt it in a situation when it is not a favorable play. You're going to call the raise with pocket tens. Re-raising there is also an option, probably a better option, but for the purpose of the example, we're just going to call. You flopped a set. There's 2 overs. You have bottom set. There's a straight draw and a flush draw on the board. This is a horrible position to slow play. But the opponent in this example is going to do so. So jackpot is bet 5. You're going to simply call to set up the trap. Now the draw, that didn't really help anybody, so you're going to check again and try to lure him into betting a little bit more. He bets, and you gave him a cheap chase. He charged himself for chasing, and now if he had 2 diamonds, he just hit it. And straight possibilities are even more suited with Jack 7, Queen Jack. All those hands have just have you crushed. So you're going to check again. Jackpot's going to bet. At this point, the player with pocket tens believes that his tens are good, so he's going to throw in a huge re-raise. Jackpot's going to raise again. This player decides to be stubborn and raise once again. And he is shown that jackpot flopped the straight and rivered a better flush. So you find yourself losing a lot of money right there. So just keep in mind that when there's a flush and straight draws on the board, speed up and try to shut down chasers while you can. Do not, I repeat, do not give free or cheap cards to chasers. To wrap up this video tutorial of the Learn to Play Poker series, I'm going to show you a perfect situation to slow play, and hopefully we'll bust one of these guys out of the table. We look down at pocket 8s, and I'm going to try to show you guys an example of the optimal, perfect slow playing situation. Trogdor raised it up to $6. We're going to call it here with pocket 8s and hope to flop a set. And this is a multi-way pot. This is a good situation to make some chips. You flopped a set, middle set. It's a rainbow flop. At this point, there's really no straight draws out there. There's not much to worry about. The players in this pot probably have 2 face cards, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and with the ace out there, this is a perfect trapping situation because you're probably going to get paid off by players holding ace and a high kicker. There's some raising going on here. You're just going to call and keep the slow playing going. There's a re-raise fest going on. You're probably going to get paid off big time on this hand. You're gonna throw in a raise this time since the players don't seem to care very much about getting all their chips in. So at this point, you hit a full house on the river and you win a huge pot. And that's the power of slow playing. If you sped up, there's a chance that stronger players might get off of their ace. But with slow playing, you lure them in and get them to a point where there's no turning back and you end up with all their chips. That's all for this video lesson. I hope this helped you learn how to slow play and when not to slow play. And I'll see you in future lessons. Until that time, visit www.mega-poker.net. Thank you.